Tax day. It's a date that can bring a little stress to pretty much everyone, right? But what happens if that deadline just comes and goes, and you haven't filed? It can feel super overwhelming, but honestly, just understanding what happens next is the first step to getting it all sorted out.
Okay, let's just dive right into it. Missing the tax deadline is not the end of the world, but the IRS does have a very specific playbook for what happens next. So, we're going to break down exactly what that process looks like, what it costs you, and most importantly, how you can take back control of the situation.
First up, we absolutely have to clear up the single biggest point of confusion when it comes to taxes. So many people think that filing your taxes and paying your taxes are the same thing. They're not. And knowing the difference is, well, it's everything.
Think of it like this. Filing is basically just sending the government a report card of your finances for the year. You're just reporting the numbers. Paying, on the other hand, is settling the bill. The IRS sees these as two totally separate duties you have.
So here it is, the most important piece of advice in this entire explainer. Even if you don't have a single dollar to send to the IRS, you can, and you absolutely should, still file your tax return. We're about to see exactly why this one little action is such a game changer.
So how does being late actually cost you money? Well, the IRS hits you with penalties. But because filing and paying are separate, they have two different penalties. One for not filing, and a completely different one for not paying.
First, take a look at the failure to file penalty. This one is a beast. It's a hefty 5% of whatever you owe, and it gets tacked on for every single month or even part of a month that you're late. This thing adds up incredibly fast.
Now let's compare that to the failure to pay penalty. Look at that. It's just half of 1% per month. That is 10 times smaller than the penalty for not filing. And this right here is why filing on time, even when you can't pay, is so critical. You avoid that much bigger penalty.
This chart just lays it all out, side by side. Now, they both max out at 25% of your unpaid tax bill, but that huge 5% failure to file penalty is going to get you to that max much, much faster. And by the way, if both penalties apply in the same month, the IRS gives you a little break. They reduce the filing penalty by the amount of the paying penalty. But still, you're getting hit with a steep charge.
And just when you thought the penalties were bad enough, there's another layer to this whole thing. On top of everything else, the IRS also charges interest. This is where a small tax problem can really start to snowball into a big one.
And here's the kicker. The interest isn't just on the tax you didn't pay. It's charged on the unpaid tax and on the penalties themselves. So you're basically paying interest on the fees you got for being late. It all starts adding up from the original tax deadline.
So what if you just ignore the letters? Let the penalties and interest just pile up. Well, the IRS doesn't just forget about it. They have a very clear set of steps they take to collect what they're owed, and they get more serious over time. It starts with a letter, but it doesn't end there. The actions get way more serious. They can intercept any future tax refunds you're expecting. Then they can file a public lien against your property, which is just awful for your credit score. And eventually, they can issue what's called a levy to seize money right out of your bank account or even your paycheck.
Let's talk a little more about that refund interception. How do they do that? It's all handled by an automated system called the Treasury Offset Program, or TOP for short. It's basically a big cross-check to see if you owe money to any other government agencies.
And as you can see here, it's not just about federal taxes. Through this TOP program, any future tax refund you might be expecting can be grabbed to pay for things like past due child support, old federal student loans, or unpaid state taxes.
Okay, I know that all sounds pretty intense, but here's the good news, and it's really good news. You are not powerless here. The IRS actually has several programs specifically designed to help people who have fallen behind and want to get back on track.
You have some really powerful tools you can use. You can apply for a payment plan online and just pay it off in monthly installments. That's a super common and straightforward way to handle it. You could also look into something called an offer in compromise, which might let you settle your debt for less than you actually owe. That's usually for folks in serious financial distress. And if you're facing a real hardship, the Taxpayer Advocate Service is an independent group inside the IRS that can help you for free.
So, we've looked at the problem, we've looked at the penalties, and we've looked at the solutions. But it really all comes back to one simple, powerful action that you can take right now to stop the bleeding.
And this is it. This is the whole ball game. File your return. Even if it's late, and even if you owe money that you just don't have. Filing stops that massive failure to file penalty from growing, and it opens the door to all those payment options we just talked about. It is, without a doubt, the smartest and most important move you can possibly make.
You know, this whole topic is a great reminder that facing financial challenges head-on is always, always better than avoiding them. So it kind of leaves us with this question. What's one financial task, big or small, that you've been putting off that you could maybe finally tackle today?
For more explainers on how to manage your money and navigate the world of finance, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much for watching.